What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Project Manga podcast, where we cover the 7 hottest comics coming out of Jump week to week to week. I'm your host, Eagle.
I'm Kiko.
I'm Noxie.
And with that being said, I would just like to say Discord link is in the box down below, as always. That'll be in the link tree in the description. Follow that link and come join the community and kick it. Hopefully, soon, with the pace we've been on, we'll be reaching our first 100 subscribers, and we will be doing our first community event with which we'll be updating the details about the whole thing in the actual Discord itself. So if you want to get further information on that, follow the link, come join the community, come kick it. And also, we really would like to say we appreciate the viewership up to this point and all the feedback and constructive criticism. We've already been able to kind of refine the way in which we want to go about doing this and our technique in it. So much appreciated. Domo arigato. And with that all being said, I think just briefly, how you guys feeling about all these chapters?
Amazing.
Still good, yeah. We're still going.
Little cheeks that One Piece ain't here this week, but
hey,
it is what
man's got to have a break, man. He earned it.
He earns his breaks, as I say.
Also, we're on Spotify and Anchor now.
Oh, we are on Spotify and Anchor. I forgot to say that. That'll also be in the link tree.
In the link
on
tree,
Anchor, Spotify, soon to be iTunes, other platforms for podcasts, iHeart, stuff like that.
Yeah, Stitcher. Everybody at work has no excuses now, so you can.
No excuses. Your data is fine.
Yeah.
Get it cracking.
Yeah, dude.
So with that being said, I think we can jump right into Chapter 74 of Jujutsu Kaisen, Hidden Inventory Part 10.
All right, hey, I'll take point on this one. I mean, I would like to jump towards the end of the chapter because
Right.
it's better, but let's just start at the beginning. Let's be patient. Let's let's take a look here. Well, we got this time vessel associate representative guy, on the shady shit, and Fushiguro. You gotta, have a shady guy in the shadows, or else this wouldn't be a shonen manga, right? And so
backdoor deal isn't complete without some shady dude in a suit.
Buddy really came out of nowhere, though. Actually,
bro, and he's got this big ass fucking boil on his forehead, bro, go to the doctor, get that shit fixed. You got all this money,
you look sick.
Bro, you get that looked at.
You look like you ran into a door.
Yeah, and it makes you, the conversation that they have makes you kind of wonder what's going to happen with Tengen, right? Because they're talking about how they want to disrupt his metamorphosis process and feed him impure cursed energy or impurities of some kind. I don't remember what the translation said, but
yeah. I mean, the way I kind of took it is that they were going to replace, the vessel with a fake vessel or whatever for him to merge with or something. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me.
What does that mean for the current story arc? Because I don't think, like we were saying in a previous episode, he's either gotten a new vessel or he's still waiting for one. But now this chapter lets us know that he probably got a fake one, in which case he could turn into what they wanted to.
M.A.N.G.A was his vessel.
But she's dead.
Yeah, and so I think that means that there is no vessel. They're about to come up with some fake vessel or some kind of
that's right.
Some replication or whatever, maybe of her or something and I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say with the information that we got, but
right.
Young Money in the suit, with the cigarette. He says, if Master Tengen goes berserk, humanity will be destroyed. He
does
that, right?
say that. He
do
does
know
if
this man goes off, we're fucked here.
It's over with.
Who knows? Our boy, Gojo might have something to say about that. We'll see. When we get there.
I wonder what Tengen looks like. I'm picturing Maha Zoldyck.
Yeah. Kind of me too, and actually, I'm picturing the most current chapter I could find of Sinbad that's translated has Magoi manipulation to the fullest extent, and it turns him one of the assassins, like the head assassin dude that taught Jafar, is like some fucking skeleton bone guy. Like it sucks like all like I don't know, like
really
thick, and he just, I don't know, goes
that's what
off.
happens when you're the Titus Magoi user, or
yeah, like when you
use too much.
No, when you can fully like attain the highest level of Magoi manipulation, your body will like evolve into, I mean, it's just
person.
yeah, I mean, it's just, I guess, like extreme, like you're light but you're strong. It's like that the muscles are all like super defined, but your skin, I don't know, like it's not a skeleton,
sinewy and like
it's kind of what I picture him, you know, crypt keeper ass, you know,
right? Yeah, the crypt keeper,
like Tywin Lannister.
Yeah, you know,
yeah,
Master Tengen's on HBO having you know, story of the night, you know, but
yeah, dude.
But yeah, so you know, we'll see when that comes. But I mean, hey, we can really jump to, well, I mean, before we even, you know, get there, you know, Fushiguro and you know, this other suited guy.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either. And we have seen him before. I feel like, but regardless, they have some kind of past relationship because they're talking about how, hey, let's go out to eat, let's celebrate. Yeah, we just, you know,
and you can like, just tell that they like vibe and like click with each other.
Yeah, but and the suited guy says to him like, hey, you know, we fuck with each other, but I told you the only ways we were ever gonna fuck with each other for real was either in business or in hell. So
that was such a good quote.
I'm not going to lunch with you, but you know, we're still cool, you know, but like that's that. Like we're business partners, and that's that. So that was super tight. And then you basically get to see them go their own ways. And when Fushiguro does, our man's and them sitting there.
Right. On some ready. Michael Myers, like you said.
Gojo's just ready in the black suit, like, all right, dude. Long time. I ain't seen you for a little bit, buddy.
Right.
Yeah.
Like what's going on? Like what's next?
Yeah. And Fushiguro is, you know, very surprised to see that Gojo is alive, and you know, Gojo shows him like, hey, like where you stabbed me, that shit's clean, I'm good now, you know.
Yeah.
And he starts explaining how his ability works, or what really transpired. It's even more so that his ability than
well, the explanation that he gave was how Juryoku, or cursed energy, is like ran by like negative vibes or like negative. So like when he like doubled, like when he said that he stopped fighting after he crushed his throat. So like after he hit him with the inverted spear of heaven and sliced his jugular or whatever, he was like, all right, I'm just gonna stop fighting. I'm gonna focus all of the last of my willpower basically, or whatever, the last of my energy into doubling my negative output. Once that happened, it added positive energy, which then he said, I guess, you know, heals him, you know what I mean? So like the negative energy, what he was explaining, it mitigates damage. So like you can use that to like strengthen your defenses. So that's kind of like the circuit is closed, like kind of situation where like, okay, like impact or whatever kind of damage is coming in, and I'm doing my best to defend against that, you know, in like a wall kind of way. But then doubling the negative energy output turns it into positive energy, and adding the positive energy activates like a regenerative healing factor. So, but he said that other people can do that. So that's not a Gojo specific ability. Anyone with Juryoku can learn to do that.
Well, yeah, because he has the flashback where, you know, the mentor, or whatever you call her, his senpai in the school, or, you know, because this is obviously a flashback for when they're younger. And so, you know, his whatever.
Tried to tell him how
class.
to do it.
Yeah, and he's just like, the only person I know just talks a bunch of gibberish and says, you know, just swoosh and then fwish, and you got it, right? Are you an idiot? Like, it's clear, right?
Yeah. So we know that. So that is opening up like information for us in regard to like, these are like kind of like base nen techniques, like that are separate from Hatsu, that like anybody can learn and get tight with. So like we'll probably see that in the current story moving forward. Like you'll just get a healing factor once you've trained your Juryoku enough, which is really cool to see.
And doesn't it kind of feel like it amplified his red glow? You know,
that is what he said.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's
packing. That's the reason why it was like, you know, and that's actually what I wanted to go into next. So like a buddy of mine on Twitter was talking about, he actually pointed this out. So what Gojo says, he's like, before applying the positive energy to his Jutsu Shiki, his infinity techniques seem to move slower in the flashback arc, in the hidden inventory arc, than in the current story. Because like if you notice in this flashback arc, his like adding and subtracting of space, like kind of has that like slower, illustration effect to it. Like it's not happy, because in the current story it's like instant, like he's instant, like he's doing shit like at the snap of a finger. But like so now with the positive energy added, he seems to be able to increase the speed at which he adds or subtracts the space between him and his target. So that's why like if he has like the space and then he's adding, it pushes you, or pulls you towards him, you like move, away or move towards him at a higher speed. And that's why he like flies into that pillar. And also like, how strong is Fushiguro?
Yeah, he just takes that and is like,
if he has, it looks to me like the little Ouroboros thing. It's because it's like, right before he gets hit with it, it's like kind of curled around his chest like it was, but in that last panel where he's like, "You're a monster" or whatever, it's right in the center of his chest. So I'm thinking maybe it kind of and took the impact. Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But how did even that survive?
Yeah, because that's a lower level curse. They said it was anyway.
Yeah, but no, that's a really good point, Eagle, because that probably did absorb a decent amount of that.
Some of it to a degree, but he's got to be a monster to be able to take that. But
like you have no curse energy and you're taking direct hits from Gojo and flying down the block.
Retogru.
Yeah.
Down the block is right, man. He's a couple blocks. Yeah.
Like a kilometer or something at least.
That's like when Doflamingo gets hit with the King Kong gun or Kong gun, and then the citizens are like, "Why are you here?" Doflamingo's like, "I don't fucking know." You know what I'm saying? That's what I want to know.
Goddamn thing.
I want to know why the fuck I'm over here.
Yeah, that is same energy. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's just, I mean, this has been great so far, and it's reminiscent to me kind of Tota in UQ Holder, because he has the black of Mars and the white of Venus, and has to basically rotate them and intertwine them together and get the energy to move into like a rotating force. Feels kind of the same, but still got its own feel to it, and Gojo's back to being the guy. He's not out anymore, Right.
So this is the.
We always knew,
but it was like Noxia. I think he posted a meme. He like made a meme about it and posted it in the chat. It's like when Deku's just got this blank stare in his face. He's looking up and he's like, me thinking about how I know that Gojo is getting this entire arc because he's gonna get sealed.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I did. Yeah, that meme was so funny because it's so true. It's like.
Contemplating it like, man, he's the guy, but they're gonna do him so dirt.
This is the last tight Gojo shit like that we're probably going to get, because they've been talking about how like the Geto and Hanami and Mahito have been talking about how their master plan to seal him, and they've really only been winning these little like altercations that they've been having with them, like in the Exchange Festival or the Goodwill event arc. You know what I mean? Like that whole thing happened and it was super hectic and it was an amazing arc, but at the end Mahito left with the fingers. You know what I mean? He broke in, got the fingers, and got out. So like they keep winning these little skirmishes and putting the pieces of that puzzle together in regard to this plan to seal Gojo. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see that really soon, which is really sad. But at least we got this super cold-blooded Gojo arc beforehand. But
hell yeah. I think that's about covers Jujutsu. We can probably move on to chapter 17 of Samurai 8 Hachimaru-den.
Bruh.
Kotsuga and Ryu or Ryu. It depends, how they want to say it, really. But it's Ryu or Ryu.
Wow.
I like to say Ryu.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because that's what it is. This isn't this. This ain't Street Fighter in the hood. 94.
Yeah. That's gotta
this
be
chapter was so crazy to me.
This chapter is. I'll let you take it.
Sure. We got a really, really cool world building explanation from Daruma in regard to the universe
splitting of atoms and
in regard to the universe that they're in. Basically what we can gather from the explanation that we get is that like things are formed by these chained H particles. The keys chain them together, swords separate them or unchain them. But also everyone has a gravitational pull that attracts things that are formed by these particles.
Yeah.
So like Anne and like Daruma and Ata were attracted to Hachimaru because of his gravitational pull, which implies that he has like a super dense concentration of these particles. And as samurai, you know, go through life or whatever, and they gain, you know, like object or keep more keys or like locker balls or whatever he was talking about, they can like kind of like rearrange and like transmogrify themselves and their holder, which is why we see those like samurai armor like transformations or you know, whatever, which is really cool to get an explanation of that so early. But this was just such a huge chapter for information. Kishimoto is like really trying to incorporate like actual science and physics into this story with this H particle business, because you guys might have heard of H particles before as God particles, or the most common term is actually Higgs boson. So like, I'm not a scientist, you know, or anything, and I'm not going to try to like thoroughly explain my understanding of this shit on this episode, but
that's that shit they're trying to make with the collider machine, right? That they built.
Yeah, the Hadron Collider.
The Hadron Collider, yeah.
Yeah, so like most particles are made up of other particles clinging together, except for the God particle, which are foundational particles or fundamental particles that are believed to be like the OG, like original particle, right? I can't remember exactly, you know, but it's either the first particles that were created after the Big Bang or the ones that made up the nothing that existed before the Big Bang. I don't know. This could be just me taking an opportunity to sound smart because I watched a couple Neil deGrasse Tyson videos on Facebook, and if I succeeded, then gang. But but nah, for real, like I think that's a pretty strong inference considering Kishimoto is clearly explaining these particles to be like the most important fundamental particles in this universe. Which is extremely exciting because it shows that he's like dead serious about this story, and this shit could get very crazy.
But we got our little bit of, you know, shonen convenience, you know, explained now, where it's like, if he had such strong gravity, where was Ata the whole fucking time? He was tied to the damn machine.
Well, he didn't. It didn't give out his like. It was like.
Was that what it was when
it's like he was pretty much
samurai? It activated his gravity, but then Daruma didn't say shit about that.
I know, but
whole explanation. He didn't say, man, your shit was activated right when you became a samurai.
See, but I took it more as that it's almost like a dormant or innate thing that can, you know, once you have unlocked as a samurai or whatever, your key holder or whatever, then it amplifies. But that doesn't mean that somebody, especially of Daruma's level, even has like the faintest or unwittingly, even unknowingly is attracted in a way that he can't quite, you know, pinpoint. But it's just that once the key he unlocks as a samurai, then it's just you're gonna have far more of an energy output, and that's exactly when Ata went towards him, is when he unlocked it, you know.
Yeah, but weren't they talking about how, like, wouldn't he have had to have like had some of that gravitational pull just being the like accidental eighth test tube baby?
Yeah, but maybe there's okay, and I'm not the one to have the highest level of faith in Kishimoto, but I'd have faith. I would have faith here in saying that he'll explain that more thoroughly later.
A little bit of convenience there. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, this is how Shonen work, though. Like they leave out like key bits and pieces here and there, and things like that happen.
Yeah.
You know, so
But I thought this chapter was honestly really well balanced for how much dialogue there was. But the pacing still felt really nice, and it didn't feel like overwhelming. Like the flow of it worked really nicely, I think. Another thing that really I liked a lot. Not only did we meet these two little, you know, they're obviously probably going to be new squad members, but Hachimaru, my guy with the brand new set of clean threads,
with the drip.
The drip is real. He's got the top knot with the goggles on the back, all black hoodie in this bitch. Like,
he's drippy.
He's flowing. I'm telling you, flowing.
Yeah, he's stunting hard. There's no.
The guy is styling. Yes.
Yo, I love it.
It's really cool to see, because I thought he was just. I mean, like, we could probably have assumed that he was going to get some kind of new outfit eventually, but I thought we were gonna see, you know, his starter outfit for a while.
Yeah. I was surprised as hell when we seen the drip, bro. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm hyped for, you know, the new fit and all, but I can't not say this. That's Sasuke outfit.
Well, no.
How can I not say that here?
Reminiscent
Orochi, hey,
of it.
Orochimaru gave that to Hachimaru. Then I'm sure.
It's kind of like it does look like a little bit of a mix between Sasuke and Naruto because the
resemblance
collar's
is
like
there.
fanned out like how Naruto's was, but like
Sasuke had a fanned out collar too. It just wasn't bushy. He
Yeah,
had
it
his
wasn't bushy.
his
Yeah, you're right,
fanned
you're right,
out
you're
too.
you're right.
This is a goddamn Uchiha outfit. But hey,
Fuck it,
that's
let him
fine. I
live.
like it. No, I
Yeah.
love it. I personally love
Rip.
it. I love and hey, Uchiha were some of the flyest in the Konoha world, and that's just how. I mean, they had
That's
the
just
tightest shit
facts.
on. Yeah, and
That's
so
just the way it is.
I would wear Uchiha gear personally.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Out of
You
anything.
do. And you do.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
we do.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see that hangar that they parked in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that makes me feel so much like the other just sci-fi older
Yes.
ones we talked about in the
Like
tie-in
an
episode.
intergalactic port
Outlaw
where there's-
Star,
Yes.
fucking Cowboy
Yeah.
Bebop, any of those where I always loved those scenes where the ship was docking and being
Yes.
stationed, and it's just like so subtle and so like just kind of like I guess I won't say run of the mill, but it's like par for the course for that
It's
type of
immersive,
show.
really. I think.
Yeah.
It's immersive. That's a great.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
immersive is a good word there. Yeah, it's very reminiscent of like any, like you were saying, any science fiction, like every single story like that has that scene. Firefly, Serenity, Outlaw Star, Cowboy Bebop. They always dock and then like go grab a drink or go grab
Exactly, or like go grab supplies. Like, okay, it brings
yeah.
that little bit of realism and immersion to the story where you're like, okay, yeah, they do got to dock every once in a while. Go grab some supplies, get some food, do some bullshit.
They don't just eat computer chips.
Get
you
the
know?
broth, get some pussy. You know what I'm saying?
I just picture them walking around eating clocks and shit, with their just any kind of computer chips they can find. Like what does a robot computer internet man fucking eat?
Right. Bolts.
And everybody in the station is like, wow, your holder is crazy. Gee, we ain't seen one like that in a long ass time. And Atta, that whole city where his princess is at is on the back of his holder. It looks like now that we've seen, like, because his is that super large dragon. And when he's like, when Kala is like, go in person this time.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's huge.
Pretty sure that's Atta's holder.
I was so surprised that
like,
you wanted to.
city on its back.
Yeah,
is like where his princess is at. So he's just always with her.
Yeah,
and this feels again
Par for the course.
Again, feels so much like Outlaw Star. This feels like oh man, it's like one of the last episodes where they have to go find the coordinates to the galactic ley line, and they go. It's called like Land of the Dragon or Way of the Dragon or some shit like that, where they go to a place that has like fucking like there's like these pyramids and other like I don't know primitive looking structures, kind of like this, but it's primitive and it's futuristic at the same time. I can't really explain how they make this, and that's what this feels like too, where it's like they're gonna have top tier technology, but at the same time it still kind of has like an old feel,
archaic.
Archaic. Yeah, that's a good word. Edo-ish
type of. Yeah,
I
Dude,
love
that's such
that.
a cool like combination of lore.
It is.
Yeah,
like so
science
excited
fiction with Edo samurai type.
Yes, dude. I've never, and I think I even saw it on like one of the, maybe it might have been the translation, but they were like, it's like a never before seen kind of story that you about to experience here, y'all. You ain't never seen science fiction samurai in this bitch.
When we were talking about it in the chat a while back, you're like, man, just this story dynamic, like Edo, samurai, science fiction, spatial exploration.
Yeah.
You're like, man, I never knew how badly I wanted it until and like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, dude.
Something else too that I really love from this chapter, like I said already, I touched on it, is the introduction of the two new squad mates, presumably. And I personally, like, just from the little bit of dialogue and stuff we got from him, I love Ryu.
Yeah,
because
dude.
his whole little character quirk where he's like forgetful all the time and shit. He had me
until it's time to fight. Then he don't forget
and then
anybody.
he's like, I'm Ryu.
Yeah.
Who's that cut down, motherfucker?
Right, and they're obviously samurai, but like they dress in like regular like civilian clothes. So it's also really cool that we're going to get character designs that aren't like always traditional like tried and true like samurai garb.
Yeah,
like,
well, or
we're gonna go to all
samurai-
kinds of planets where samurai are gonna be dressed all kinds of different ways. We might get a '90s planet. See
or
some barber
samurai key holders
pullovers.
that aren't necessarily along that same path of like honor and shit, because these guys don't seem to be like they're kind of
Ronin. They're the Ronin of this.
They're Ronin out here, like roaming from port to port, stealing people's holders and shit, and probably they go sell them on black market or something like that. Who knows? There's probably that bit of layer to the story as well.
Samurai 8's going crazy. I can't believe the hate that I see for it on the internet. It's like, are
This
we
was,
reading the same story?
This chapter, blows it open. It gave us so much more, and it again will fuel me to read another 100 chapters. Right, like you got to like fuck up somewhere
just
along
off this.
Yeah. Like I'm really excited for the future, and I can see again. Did we think that Kishimoto's storytelling could carry a story that has not the best art? There's no way really for us to know that, because it's like Naruto's so strong so early and then just falls flat, where you think that you're like, man, is this going to be something where it's going to be cold-blooded for 80% and the last 20% I'm mad about, because I don't want that to happen. But
obviously we really hope not, but I mean, like if he's
it doesn't feel like that so far.
If he's talking about Higgs boson and shit, like if he's he's dead serious about this shit, fam. Like you can tell that he's really about to go crazy.
Well, and I think one of you guys said
on the payroll.
Well, and I think one of you guys said that
consultant for
that.
Dr.
Well, one of you guys, you need somebody like that for a story like fucking Dr. Stone. Holy shit! But but one of you guys said, this might be Kishimoto's Hunter, whereas Naruto was his Yu Yu Hakusho, and he was warming up to get to some where that means we'll never finish Hachimaru. But that's what I remember. But that's not true, because Kishimoto did it the right way. He's just like, fuck it, I have somebody illustrate this. Give me a young hungry illustrator out here to illustrate my shit. But we can't move on from this until we talk about how just all the scenes with Kala, and just right from the beginning, one of the clones says right away, like, he's begun to move. Like they know
where he's at.
Like it really seems like they can pinpoint it pretty fucking accurately, almost with 100%, which that's crazy, because it's like
it's 7 of them plus Atta plus Kala.
It sounds like he needs to get squad like yesterday. He's gonna need help right away. And
is that because of how many of them there are? Is that degree of precision in when it comes to tracking him, or
that's how I took it?
As we take
that
him
would
out,
be tight.
They'll get less able to track him more and more, and he'll kind of be able to sneak him once they're all taken out.
Well, that'd be tight too if they sent like one of the stronger ones after him, or not. I wouldn't even say one. It would have to actually probably be one of the weaker ones, but where he can't beat him really, or does barely, and then once he kills one of them, that now they have a little bit more freedom and whatnot. I don't know, like.
My take on it was, since it's a gravitational pull thing, you know what I mean? Since it's based on like how much Hachimaru is calling them towards him, if they're all like kind of like a hive mind, collection of, these particles, then the more dense their concentration is in relation to his, the more the better visual that they'll have on him, because it's calling so many different sources at once towards him. Yeah. So like that was my take on it. And if that's the case, then they'll show up next chapter, or something like that. Because look at how fast Atta got to him. Atta was like, "Oh, word," But I mean, now they've got a
person this time.
But they were stationary before. Now they're out here bending blocks. So
yeah.
A couple questions I got is, who is this being that's behind Atta and one of the clones? It's like it's connected to his
That's
holder.
His princess.
That's his princess, like it has fused with his holder?
Yes. Don't you remember when he was originally in the first scene we saw him, he called her like my princess or something when he was sending his clone out to go after Hachimaru.
Yeah, I guess I didn't catch the part where it's like it's actually merged and
she's like planted in the same. I mentioned that in the previous episode. One of my.
I think you did. Yeah, I do remember that.
She's like planted in one location.
Yeah, and I guess I remember that, but I don't know. Maybe I just didn't really totally take in that it's part of the holder, I guess, you know. And what does that mean? Like, so you see this also, this smaller dragon that's flying around, you know, floating around Atta. Does he have a giant holder with the cities on and his princess is connected to, and then he takes this smaller like Chinese dragon with him that is, you know, an offshoot of his holder that he can use still with, you know, some level of power? Because that, you know, would make it seem like there's going to be a chance for Hachimaru now to fight him with that, where he could lose again and then still come back a third time to fight if he's, you know, the possibility where he's not going to, or some situation where he wouldn't use his full power again. Not being that he can't do it, or not being that he's choosing not to, it's just being that he didn't take it all with because there's some risk maybe.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but we get to see, you know, Kala, I guess, floating skull with swords sticking out of the top of his head, you know.
Considering the pacing, I wonder if we really will see Kala like actually do shit like relatively soon.
Probably
in the series. Yeah,
well,
like I would like to wait. I would like for him to, because I mean he said next time I'm going myself, but ideally I would like to, you know, see not necessarily monster of the week or like villain of the week, you know, kind of situations in between now and the confrontation with Kala, but like I don't want him to just show up and be the next fight.
Who said they're going themselves?
Didn't Kala say like next time I'm just gonna go do it myself?
No, he said, well, Atta's like Master Kala, and then he said next you will go in person, follow them.
Oh, that's right. So Atta sent a representative.
So he told Atta like get the shit done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
and you got to look at them both, because Scandalation I see the first time here said that Kala would go personally, but I knew that wasn't right. That wasn't right. And because, well, and that's the thing, is that so the skull has got to be his holder, right? Kala's holder.
Something
and he's on top of the skull on some like little throne thing, talking from it or whatever that is. Maybe that's a building on top of that skull, similar to Atta's. And then there's like a shit ton of fucking swords sticking out of the skull, like every direction. And so, yeah, like the first time reading it through, the first version I saw, I'm like, Kala's going himself? It seems a little early for that. But you know, then if you look at the Viz, it does say that Atta should go himself instead of using the clone, which that's kind of what I took that as to begin with. Like I felt like that's what that meant. But it's crazy that it shows that the holder just starts flying, the dragon starts flying. So I mean, are we gonna get like a Kaido mouth blast out of this dragon? You know,
hyper beam season.
Yeah, it's hyper beam season. Yeah,
well, it makes sense because we saw that old dude with the size of his holder when he like went, Griffin Eagle, fucking the protector of the Hachi's planet.
Yeah,
so
creating some hyper beams.
He's definitely able to use that big holder to go like, goddamn Zoid mega fucking.
That's what I was hoping we would. I hope we don't go there where it's just giant like.
But it all depends on how well it's choreographed, though, because like obviously the last thing we want is like a big Megazord battle where they're moving blocky and slow. But sure. I mean, like if it's in the vacuum of space, like these things could be on some G Gundam type shit.
That's what I'm saying. We're gonna get some G Gundam like Megazoid style holder battles, and it's gonna be like
martial arts in these. Yeah,
and shattering force.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that as long as there's a good explanation as to why you would fight without doing that. Like in just your body or whatever we want to call it at this point, because like I mean, sure it's their body, but I mean they're fucking whatever beings. I mean I don't even know what you would. I mean they're connected to interface, like virtual interfaces. Like they're.
Yeah. It's those H particles just like making a shell for their soul. And yes, the last thing that we want is for it to get to a point where it doesn't make sense for them to not fight, or where it doesn't make sense for them to fight outside of these giant robots.
I want there to be, and like we're talking about last week, how we were hoping to see like 3v3 battles, Holder, Princess, and Samurai versus Holder, Princess, and Samurai. That would be sick too, where like if there is a Megazord battle, maybe it's just the holders fighting each other, and then they have to merge with their holders to like finish it up. So
yeah,
and somehow make all that make sense to where you just didn't do that from the jump.
Yeah.
It could be a thing too, because we see Ata's princess where eventually maybe your princess and holder do kind of have to become one.
Yeah.
And that's like top level shit.
Yeah.
You know, because she's playing. I don't know if that's just a specific choice they made to like plant her there like that, but she's like part of his holder.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
weird.
Whereas, you know, the protector of that satellite or whatever, or
His
planet,
princess was not. So
Was not,
and obviously he's one of the higher level dudes we
And
would assume. So
he
it's
merged with his holder. Maybe only one of you get to merge with the holder, and Ata chooses to have the princess with the holder for protection, and
Yeah.
he's so, you know, hard body with the you know, physical shits
and maybe that's why he would separate off the smaller dragon too, because probably, you know, I
Could
would say
use a
obviously
portion of
when
it.
you strip the holder of all of its, you know, meat, you know, for
Yeah.
lack of a better term, to like
Yeah.
you know, hulk up or armor up, fucking swole up, then he can't protect the princess as well if they're, you know, sitting back.
Yeah, it feels good to me.
But,
Like that makes sense.
I like it.
I think that about covers Hachimaru. Then we can probably move on to good old Chainsaw Man, chapter
wanna know-
37.
Wait, I
Yeah.
got a question. Wait, one
Head
more question. One more
chainsaw.
question.
Huh.
Is Elon Musk making these types of samurais? That's what he's doing with that.
He must be.
internet
Bro.
in the brain shit. We're about to
Elon
be
Musk is
samurais.
different like that.
We
Elon
must
Musk
hit
is
him
on
up.
the next shit.
Tell him we'll be the first samurai.
Yeah, I'll test that. I'll put
Yeah.
my brain in a robot body. C-Lab
Fuck it.
2021. Remember that episode? Shout outs to you.
Yeah. All right, we can move on. Sorry. That's
Train Head Chainsaw. What did you guys think of chapter 37?
I wanted to get your thoughts on this first, because I know that
Mine?
this. Yeah,
I
because
just-
you were like a little bit on the fence about Chainsaw Man, but I know that this chapter slapped you.
Chainsaw Man is just like, I just like, well, this, I don't fucking know. It's cool to see. One thing is like, they keep saying Denji like is the only one without an actual heart,
Yeah,
and he's still got like the consciousness and shit to save this lady on the train in the middle of all the ruckus where the sword devil's about to cut her down or whatever, and he protects her and gets his arm sliced off,
Mm-hmm.
which was pretty cool to me, I guess.
yeah.
You know, he probably does have still a heart, obviously, but I mean, this was really, there's not a lot to this chapter, because this is
No.
another chapter right in a row where it's just like a lot of action panels,
Yeah,
very little dialogue.
yeah.
The only dialogue we really get is from the train operator telling us.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just random grunts from
Just-
Denji.
Pretty well drawn action panels. I mean,
Yeah.
really outside of facial stuff, the art is really pretty fantastic.
Yeah,
So I mean, action panels where we see a lot of the characters in movement and shit like that, and it's not a lot of emphasis on their facial detail. It's fire. And then obviously, at the end,
Ooh.
I'm like actually like, why is my guy kicking his fucking leg up like this?
Yeah,
He's like,
me too.
I still got my face, and then he's like,
Double
"Ah!"
kick.
like some
Yeah.
fucking kick up in the. I'm like, what is he doing with his fucking leg? And then I go to the next page, and then I'm like, okay, the chainsaw's broken,
It's over with.
and then I was dead. Actually, like I was dying laughing when I turned the page, and he's just like, huh? Yo, buddy, straight split in half, like, huh?
And then the guts explode.
Yeah, the
Afterwards.
viscera, and then the
That's
leg
so
chainsaw.
cool. That's like a grind
Like,
house.
okay, makes sense.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, this was a really cool chapter to me, because the author Fujimoto is starting to show some like tried and true shonen elements in his storytelling. Because Denji having to pull out like a new technique on an opponent in a tight spot
Mm-hmm.
is a pretty shonen element. Because like when I first started this book, dude, I thought it was a seinen. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, why is this in Shonen Jump? But now, like, we're starting to see those shonen elements. What's really cool is that we know that this new move that he used was learned during his training. Because if you think back to earlier in the series when they were training with Kishibe, you could see those training sequences that the ground was all torn up and his pants were ripped, but his shirt was totally fine. So like that's a really cool like nuanced like callback to those earlier chapters. The last time he fought the Katana Devil, he got like low diffed like super quick, but this like power up wasn't a Deus Ex Machina, because the new technique isn't overpowered, and it's actually really obvious and simple. Like once you think about it, you know, like he won with strategy by taking advantage of an unexpected concealed weapon that the Katana Man had no way of knowing about. And it's not some like cliche, like willpower based power increase. You know what I mean? So I thought that was like a really cool thing to take away, you know, from this chapter, is that like nuanced callback to his training with Kishibe.
Yeah, and I didn't notice that. I forget that we saw panels like that of him with his pants ripped up the front.
Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't seem like a reach to have a chainsaw come out of your
right. It's like in hindsight, you're like, duh, dude.
Yeah.
The only problem I have with it is like, what's the end game here?
Where's this? Right. I was literally just thinking, where is he going to be walking around on all fours, chainsaw fucking sloth, or what the fuck?
His final form is just Pochita again.
That's what I thought too. That's exactly the same thing I fucking thought. Does he just turn it back into the fucking dog fucking chainsaw and then Power uses them or something?
No, and then Denji's the heart.
but like somebody needs to use him once he turns into a giant chainsaw. You know,
it's Power, dude. We called it right here on the Project Manga podcast. Final form Denji is just Pochita.
That's almost the only thing that makes sense to me.
I really do want to see where the chainsaw thing, like, because you know you get the hints from what was the one devil Denji was fighting, and he's like, "Oh, you're nothing like you once were, chainsaw."
The Infinity Devil.
Yeah.
In the hotel arc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was like, "You're nothing like you once were, chainsaw."
Yeah, I wonder what that was all about. I wonder if we're gonna get
what implied that, like, obviously they know there was either a previous devil man and then like he died, you know, the devil was reincarnated in Pochita, or like Pochita got like sealed away and was like a beast in its previous form or something.
Yeah, because you would think that if the devils are, how strong the devils are based on how scared people are, you know, of that fear before it manifests into its devil form. Like, we got Texas Chainsaw Massacre going on, and I can't count the times that I was up, you know, it couldn't put a blanket over my face. Yeah, dude, chainsaws are scary, man. So it's like Pochita.
Anytime anyone picks up a chainsaw, you're like, hey,
a chainsaw.
Scarface.
Put the chainsaw down.
A chainsaw is like scarier than a sword to me. Yeah. Because like people with swords like usually like have like a certain level of like discipline or like control with them. Motherfuckers with chainsaws are just you know what I mean? All up in your shit just yeah, you know, like chainsaws are way scarier than swords, but the sword devil was cold-blooded, so it's like,
I'll tell you one thing that really made me sad about this chapter is my man's had to split his clean white fours, man. Those fours got split in half. They got blood all over them, you know. Like, he went and spent $190 on those, man. And they were clean, no scuffs. And he just cut his shoe in half, got them all bloody. Like, I had to take the L. Like, bro, I got to go out to the club, you know. These, man.
I'm armless, but I can still hit this. I can still hit the C-walk without arms.
I hope they reimburse him for those. You know, he better get a new fresh pair of white fours, because that's sad to me. You know, like.
Oh no, you're funny as hell.
But he got them New Balance.
That's what they gave him. Hey, I see like a little clip thing that kind of looks like that. I don't know what else. You know.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully they're not LA Gears or something. You know.
Or the FUBU spin-off joints.
Oh my God.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So.
Adids.
So
knockoff Adidas where they didn't even fucking do the label right.
Yeah. Either way, he's gonna need a sneaker per diem now after his new show. They better come out of the pocket for that. Them shits ain't cheap.
You see my shit? It's cut in half.
$190. I spent $190 earlier today.
This is way worse.
$190.
I waited
worse than a crease, bro. This shit is.
These are
I waited on the line at Foot Locker, G.
I won a drawing. I had to take a ticket and win a drawing just to buy them. I didn't win the drawing to get them for free. I wanted to draw them, buy them. That's how stupid they are. And you made me cut them in half, or I was gonna die.
Damn.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, not a lot to this chapter. I mean, I think that about really covers it, unless either you got something else, you know, you want to go into.
Nah, this is quick and easy. You know?
Action panels, really, very little dialogue, like I said. And with that, I think we can go right into chapter 149 of Hyakusoku no Neverando, The Promised Neverland, Duty to Attest.
Yeah, dude.
And this chapter, man, I just wish I don't know. I mean, I know storytelling techniques and shit, but I just really want to know what Gilda said to Emma.
Dude, I know, dude.
And the fact that Emma and Ray split up, I don't like too much.
They've been splitting up.
I know, but I just like right now with the shit going down in the castle like it is,
they really do need each other.
Yeah. And just them splitting up so Emma can go her own down that path I really don't like. And something I just had so much appreciation for in this chapter, man. We finally get to see Legra Lavima.
Man.
Just activating, yo. She fucking activates, yo. She's out here with
on her lust.
I was gonna say it's lust, yeah.
Yeah, her lust from Full Metal Alchemist.
Yo, like she's out here serving motherfuckers attacks, bro.
Yeah.
When Buddy was right behind her and she said, like, yo, that shit
for everybody who's listening on Spotify right now, go watch this segment on YouTube so you can see
gotta see
that
it.
Pantomime was incredible.
Yo, but the Duke kind of deducing that like somebody else has to be involved in this plan because these are all a lot still wild demons and shit. They like this execution and preparation that there has to be another faction involved.
Right.
So I appreciate that, the deduction, the Duke.
Yeah. But
and then we also get the exposition that the Duke is really the person that kind of runs shit as far as the public eye, you know?
Getting more information on like the hierarchy and like the rank and what their roles are.
Yeah, he's like the prime minister versus the queen, you know, for like England, you know, some shit like that where, you know, I mean, other than the queen actually does have power, there's the difference there. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if the queen has
Caillou Shirai, man, storytelling in this is just getting so much better. I mean, not better, but it's just like it's just keeping that same energy, you know, as some of the previous arcs. And like this was a chapter that I feel like really hit the mark on in regard to like storytelling, because Caillou Shirai is just doing such a good job of making us sympathize more and more with Gillen and his people. This flashback that we get actually allows a pretty cool juxtaposition actually between the cattle children and House Gillen, if you think about it, because like their situations are similar.
Yeah.
Because both were forced into cruel situations that they couldn't control by nobility. But for the cattle children, it's like ants to spiders, you know, like they're just below demons on the food chain. Like, what can you do, you know? But in regard to Gillen, I feel like they got shafted much worse because they originally belonged to that apex species.
And wanted to change it to where like nobody's really on top. Like they're like, let's just make everybody perpetually human.
Right.
We don't gotta hunt anymore.
Right.
And we don't gotta farm these motherfucking kids because we'll all be Gucci. We'll keep our intelligence from your fucking blood that you're hoarding.
Yeah. and then they just, you know, cast him and his people out, and you know they're into the wild. You know, they're ostracized. You know,
his whole family and his wife too. That we first kind of was his wife mentioned before.
No, but
I don't think so. Up. His wife kind of just was shoehorned into this chapter, like right next to him in the cage.
Yeah,
like she was ever introduced before this.
Right.
Well, I mean that's fine. I mean, I don't think that's like awkward really, because you know we just see Gillen. Like you don't see that much of Gillen before all this shit starts. So like, when else are you going to kind of show that his whole family got murdered or whatever?
Yeah.
Well, and they probably like died fighting each other type shit over scraps of food, you know?
Yeah, and that's another thing.
That
like
too far out of range.
Yeah,
that's another thing. Like they like kind of like set him up. Obviously, we know that from the flashback, and they like threw him out into the wild, you know, with these false charges after being betrayed by Everk or by Everk.
Really,
right?
just all the royals.
Just all the royals.
No,
yeah, which is
by
Doza. Yeah, that's his name, you know. And it's like, that's crazy that like after he devolved, it shows that flashback where they had to actually eat their own people in order to be able to organize,
and they offered themselves up.
Yeah. So they're literally experiencing House Gillen is literally experiencing Emma and them's worst nightmare. You know what I mean? Like, and I was shit talking, you know, Emma like earlier on this channel, like about wanting to save these demons for weeks, but like Shirai's just injecting so much pathos now that it's just like, I want to see these motherfuckers live too, dog. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I'm starting to like understand, you know, Emma's side more and more, you know what I mean? Which is just crazy that my like outlook on this can switch, that intensely with just one chapter, dude.
Yeah, and like you were saying, just the flashback adds a lot of weight to the ending, and as you're kind of moving through the flashback and moving through the chapter, you're like kind of, why is this here? But then it really starts to come together towards the end of the chapter where you see the suicide bombs, and they're like, it was an honor to serve you. Like,
dude,
we knew we would never beat these motherfuckers because they're different.
Yeah.
From the beginning, we came in here like knowing we're about to sacrifice ourselves.
Right.
And it just added a lot of weight to that, man, where you're like, But Gillen didn't say a word the whole fucking chapter.
I know, he just kind of sat there like, buddy,
where he's at about this and shit.
Yeah.
You'd think he would activate when he starts getting his men get yacked on left and right by this fucking long nail bitch, but holy
unless it was all a part of the plan for them to sack themselves. I mean,
well, for them it was, but I would think wouldn't be under that.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be moving that way.
Right. Yeah.
Because he don't want to sacrifice all his people.
Yeah. For sure.
The 3 panels in a row with Royals' heads busted open, like Bayon 2's getting eaten, Bayon 2's getting eaten, Gnome's head is just half gone with brains out. You're just like, that's tight that they showed. Like, these guys, this is what happened to them a couple chapters. Here's their heads. We're eating them. Or
we're still
stomping them. Yeah, fuck these,
Why are more of them not wild anymore? Like, because you see who's eating the head in the... But Gillen's boys are all like still wild ass demons after they're.
It's hard to tell with Demizu's illustration, man.
Because you're supposed to like turn into the like how Gillen is and how the queen is.
But
royal blood.
Gillen has royal blood, and even though it may have reverted, it probably easier. It gets back to where it needs to be easier. It just needs less of a catalyst to get it to go.
Yeah,
whereas these guys are lesser beings, and got to eat Bayon's whole ass body, or I don't know, whatever. Bayon 2
can be true.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I mean, not a whole lot more to this chapter than that. I mean, unless you guys got anything else, but I think it's pretty safe to say we can just kind of move on from this one.
Yeah, that just about does it for me.
Yeah.
So now Black Clover chapter 219. As pitch black as it gets.
It's Yami hours, baby.
It is Yami hours, bro.
Yeah, dude. Yami making Nero an official member of the Bulls was super cool to see. That was like, it was nice that he front loaded the chapter, with that sentimental shit, because he said, "Yeet," which was really cool to see. And like Damnatio talking this shit, obviously, but like, I like how Nozel kind of like comes in, and blocks it, because I mean, obviously we want to see them fight, but we knew that it wasn't going to be that quick. You know what I mean? They weren't just going to bust in, try to save Asta, and then it was going to turn into a full scale, skirmish inside of this courthouse. Obviously, that fight's going to happen. We know that fight's going to happen because they're going to come back from whatever trip they're about to take and be like, "Look, my homeboy, you need to exonerate, buddy." and Damnatio is going to be like, "I can't lose to a commoner."
Something I really appreciated though was Fuego Leon coming in and like how he's the one that has Damnatio hemmed up, and he's just got this look like, you snobby piece of shit, I already know what you're trying to pull. Because like Fuego Leon, he don't move like that, he don't look
Fuego's
down on the commoners like the Vermilions are different. So it's like
the Vermilions are shooters.
Damnatio hemmed up is kind of like, you son of a bitch, like I know what you're up to, you snobby piece of shit, looking down your nose at people.
Even Mimosa's brother, Sakura, fruit guy,
Nozel?
No. Mimosa's brother.
Yeah.
Kirsch. Kirsch.
That's it. I was trying to think.
Even he's tight. He wasn't at first, and I like all the Vermilions. Have you ever seen? And I don't know, like if it was official, but like a family tree of like how Vermilions and what the hell is Noel's last name?
Silva.
Duh. Wow. But how they're related, how basically they're cousins. Like the Vermilions and the Silva are cousins, and it's tight that they have water and mercury and then fire and then plant based. Like it's all kind of like I hope to see at some point, like where it stemmed from, and like if one element branched off into these like 4 sub elements.
Whoa, that would be so cool.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, if they're related, at some point,
Yeah, then it has to meet somewhere.
Yeah, so
that's such a cool idea.
And that's cool that the 2 cousins are there to stop this, you know.
Yeah. Well, see, like people are starting to people are starting to show more and more people, because a lot of these royal knights, magic knights, in the beginning of the series, we're talking just as much shit about Asta, but as he continues to make these accomplishments, they're like, all right, hold on, bro.
Yeah, people love him.
Yeah, and it's so satisfying to see that progression of society. Yeah. I mean, maybe not society, but of these secondary characters that were originally on, you know, a little bit more on the nobility side, starting to come over after experiencing and spending time with Asta, you know, and seeing like, okay, maybe these motherfuckers ain't that bad. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, Nozel, I mean, he's acknowledged Asta, but he does still look down on commoners because he was that way at the beginning. And it doesn't go along the same lines of the Noel thing where he's like, oh yeah, I was just acting like an asshole.
Yeah.
Kind of steer you away from Magic Knight life. Like, nah, you still looking down your nose at commoners.
And that just goes back to that indoctrinated belief system that it's hard to shake. You know, if you've lived your entire life thinking that way of people, it's going to take some pretty intense, you know, like moments for you to break through that.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and it probably goes along the lines of like, kind of a Romeo and Juliet situation with the Vermilions and Silvas, where that kind of all started, because the 2 families have obviously very different ideals and the ways they look at things, where the Silvas are kind of indoctrinated that way, along with most of the other royals, where it's like we look down at commoners, but the Vermilions are obviously different, like we were saying.
Yeah.
So
and their mom wasn't like that.
Dichotomy in the past of a flashback we'll see where, you know, maybe the 2 original. But, you know, if they branch from one person, that's hard to say.
Yeah, it kind of changes things.
The Silva mom wasn't like that. It doesn't really show
Noelle's
that.
mom wasn't like that,
Yeah, Noelle's mom wasn't like that. And I don't know if her dad was, because we don't really get to see what their dad was like. But the mom was pretty compassionate, and it's weird to see. I mean, there definitely has to be some other story that we need for kind of to, you know, connect the dots on there, because I don't see how you get 3 shitbags and one, you know, from this lady who was a hero. That, you know, she had the Valkyrie armor or whatever and stuff too first, and all that shit. Like, she was whatever, you know, a legendary magic knight who was compassionate and didn't treat people like shit. So it's weird to see you have 3 shitbags, you know. But who knows? You know, since she died early in their life or whatever, and I think they were saying that they kind of blamed Noelle for that. I don't remember exactly how that went, and maybe that's kind of where some of the resentment came from between those 3 and Noelle. But yeah, I don't know. That's a little back, you know.
I think maybe it was a childbearing kind of thing where like they told her not to have a 4th kid or something like that, and then like they all blame because she died from the pregnancy or repercussions from it or something like that.
Yeah, it was like repercussions because Noelle was alive, like, I mean, not more than a baby. She was like a toddler or very young and barely remembers her mom, you know, but does remember her mom. So yeah, but
but let's get to the obvious biggest thing about this chapter, the thing with the hugest implications. That
it makes sense.
Yes, exactly. They're sent out on a mission from the Wizard King to explore into presumably the Spade Kingdom, right? Because that's the one that's got the devil shit going on.
Right. And
so they're gonna
try like that. That was obviously the best part of the chapter.
Just maybe the biggest part. I don't know, I wouldn't say, but the biggest part, biggest implications, because, you know, set up for the next arc not only, but, you know, immediate satisfaction with that. We're gonna go into the Spade Kingdom and get to know some of that shit that's happening in there, because I really want to know about it.
Yeah, Tabata is just really impressing me with the world building that he's introducing, that the series was severely lacking. You know what I mean? And what's tight is that he engineered an important plot driving event to kickstart the world building organically, so it didn't feel like forced or randomly added on some whoops, forgot to do this, here you go type shit, you know. So I thought that was really cool, that we got a little bit of a setup, you know, a couple chapters ago, and then now it's like, okay, now you have to go there.
Yeah. You know, something I kind of missed until this chapter is that it's cool how they gave like Damnatio and just the royals and the Clover Kingdom in general. It's almost like a Christian overtone tone of to this because if you look at some of them wear the clover and it's almost like a cross because it's a clover. And Damnatio has very priest looking clothing on, and it does really feel like it's adding some religious level to it, which
there
obviously
is that aesthetic going on a little bit.
So I mean it's cool because like witchcraft is heresy, black magic, that kind of thing. Just a cool little thing they got going on there. But I'm just glad this makes sense because I thought this could really not go well and not make sense. So
I'm really excited.
Yeah,
I am as well. We're going to be moving into some bigger things in Black Clover, it seems like, and it's not going to feel like convoluted or like forced in any way. I don't feel like, because it's, like you said, been pretty organic the way it was flown into the story. Yeah.
I'm really, really, really impressed by Tabata right now.
Yeah, I would have been mad if they just like wrecked the whole fucking courthouse and they're like, no, the laws have changed because they're dead, which would be kind of tight, but at the same time, you're like, I think the story's over with them.
Yeah, that wouldn't.
It's not good for storytelling.
Yeah, that wouldn't age well with the series. But I'm just glad because it could have easily gone that way. Like like Black Clover is a series where it makes perfect sense for that to have happened, and I just like when I'm wrong about negative things that I assume about a series that I'm following. So
yeah.
And should we talk about Damnatio's magic a little bit because he tilts the scale and they lose their magic potency. So like Yami looks at his sword and like the darkness kind of contracts into the sword, and everybody's kind of looking at their abilities. Like Magnus has like almost he has a tiny little fire bat in his hand. He's like, what the fuck is this?
But Rogue is still there. Still there, and that's a really cool thing because he's not forgetting about rules that he established earlier in the series in regard to his fights being different to.
And that was really
Rouge did shrink too, and I wonder if that has implications or if he just
did she shrink?
Yeah. And Vanessa makes a comment like, well, Rouge hasn't disappeared yet, so I think we're good. Like they won't be able to harm us. But I mean,
I thought Rouge wasn't affected at all.
No, it's just really tiny. It's just a little tiny cat on the shoulder.
Then that's still cool,
but yeah, I mean, like, what does that mean for her ability when her ability fucking negates?
Maybe it'll only negate half, or maybe like you'll take a little bit of damage. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe like you'll do graze your shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
it was also tight how Fuego Leon has the fucking salamander actually wrap Damnatio up like a little bit like.
Hemmed his ass up like, make a move, motherfucker. I swear to God.
Don't that hurt?
I will crisp you up like bacon.
That's what I never understood about like fire users that like have their fire interact like parts of their body with like other people's body parts in stories.
He's straight up grabbing the paper with a flaming fucking arm, and I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah, like that paper doesn't
got to be some kind of magical part.
Yeah, he's like, bro, you can't hold paper with two hands because one of your hands is fire.
I know. It's like, what are we doing here? That's
God, what I'm trying to think of some series that I don't know, like the fire won't burn you if I don't want it to, kind of thing. Where do I remember that from?
Marco.
That totally be
is that Marco? Well, no, not Marco. No,
Marco's flames actually won't burn you at all.
Yeah, they won't burn you at all. They're only restoration healing.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm thinking of. There's something else where like there's hot flames that won't burn you if I don't want. I don't know. Somebody had an ability like that. I don't remember what it's from. Whatever. But it really like
we gonna look
like
into
this.
That.
We got to because there was some really good. I remember whatever that was from. Like had a good explanation on like I don't know how. I need to have the will to want to burn you for my fire to even like sure it's hot but like it's not hot. You won't feel it because like I'm concentrating the actual heat force into the fire itself and it doesn't emanate at all because of my control of the ability, something like that.
Whatever that's going on, and I'm trying to watch that shit.
Yeah, I don't
remember.
I don't remember what the fuck that's from.
That sounds like some.
It's like I control
a separate entity, so it might not.
That sounds like some shit I want to talk about in the next tie-in episode.
But I think that about covers everything for Clover. We can move on to chapter 242 of Boku no Hero Academia.
Yeah.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Is that the title of the
The
chapter?
fuck? Yeah.
I didn't
Have a
notice,
Merry
notice
Christmas.
that.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, and I mean, just when you're like,
As I'm
especially
like,
we've gotten so many of these where you're like, Merry Christmas, you got to be fucking kidding me! Don't make me throw this fucking computer down the
But
street.
you want to know
like,
what? But you want to know what made it all okay?
well,
Eddie
especially
Chan, baby.
especially
so
when they
cute in this
start the chapter off with that meeting where
Yes.
there's big implications, it seems like, where the principal Nezu is like, they're saying pretty much like, we had an ad hoc agreement with all these hero agencies about this shit, but now it's kind of fallen through because of the goings on.
Yeah.
So, and also they're trying to fucking commission our students to come out here and pretty much fight in a actual war under the guise of it being preparation for a future or whatever.
Yeah, that was really cool.
So like,
See,
that's them
one thing
prepared as
about-
best as
yeah.
possible. He was like, we
Yeah.
really got to call the world's most accomplished heroes.
Yeah,
You know,
that's one thing
And
I
then-
love about
and
Kohei's
then
writing.
it
is that
literally
it's-
goes on the very next page to Christmas bullshit in the dorm.
the
But I mean, at
Public
least
Safety Commission. That's what I was
Yeah.
looking for. Is like, what is the title of this organization that's ordering this? Because this is an order. This isn't like, and they're withholding information from the school, and they're misleading them or trying to.
Yeah.
They're failing to do it. But that is something that I personally really needed in this series because I need to know the governmental structure of this fucking story.
It's got to be just
Yeah,
like a
exactly.
UN type of situation.
But see, that's what I wanted to say is like, I'm glad that even though we got Christmas shit, and like slice of life shit, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit in depth in a second here too. But I mean, I'm glad that Kohei front loaded, the chapter with a little things on the political side of things, because that's one of his storytelling strong suits is politics, which I really love in this story, and it's super necessary in the story to set it apart from other stories that are similar to it. I mean, I can't really think of too many stories that are similar to Hero over in the East, but like, that's just like a really, important aspect of Western superhero storytelling is the political side of things. So I'm glad that he's incorporating that in his story too. The slice of life shit that we all talk shit about, I feel like is only really frustrating when it's a week to week kind of situation. When we look back on this series as a whole, we're going to appreciate how much time was spent on character development. When we get these really emotional scenes in the future, that like, we're going to care about that much more because we're going to think back to all of these times where they were being really cute and being actual people in these visceral scenes. You know what I mean? So on a week to week basis, we're like, come on, we don't really need hanging up ornaments and Mineta making weird, ugly faces, for half a chapter. You know what I mean? But
So the UA trader thing is just kind of thrown out the window now with this chapter. It seems like
a lot of people think Nezu's the traitor.
It's just too obvious being a rat.
It is too
right?
obvious. Yeah, it is too obvious.
Being a rat is like the dead giveaway. Like,
I threw that out the window arcs ago.
like since the was first announced, you're like, well, it's obviously the rat. Well, no, because that's too obvious. So
this is obvious, but it's also obvious that that's misdirection on behalf of Kohei.
Sure.
So but then it's an infinite regression.
It's Coda.
Yeah. Is it?
And a voice is very powerful for surveillance and very fucking powerful for just everything that a trader would want. And a voice has.
No, stop it.
It's Coda, bro.
Don't do this, bro.
It's been Coda. He's it.
Bugs on the wall, bro.
Have you said that? Have you said that before?
Yeah. I've talked about this before. It's Coda. If there is a trader,
it's a
voice is
popular writing theory within the community. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, not Coda. That's the guy.
I've never seen that in the. I guarantee.
I've never seen that. I'm not in.
I brought that up like a year and a half ago for sure.
Yeah.
Like we used to talk about it, and it's one of those things where it was like, I don't feel like any of these Class A kids can be a trader. Like they're all so good, Like even Mineta's a piece of shit, but like, hey, like we don't see him as a trader. Like. And
they make a point to say like, it's been 4 months since like we put this information out there, and we haven't seen like heard any like weird conversations or seen any kind of like off the wall like out of character behavior from any of these students. But it's like Coda's always skittish and like timid, so like if he like acts weird, they're probably just gonna be like, oh, he's on some Coda shit. And the whole time he's in a Hercules Beetle's ear like, hey bro, wow, dude. Yeah,
that's weird ass voice.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean it's it's a good theory, but again,
I like it.
I do like the theory too, but I it's hard to see that any of these kids are a traitor. I mean, the only ones are the lesser known ones, and that's why Coda makes sense, because it's like he hasn't had much screen time.
Yeah,
and
straight up.
And his power is tighter than half the other fucking class powers.
Dude, if I could be anybody in Class A, I'd be Tokoyami first, obviously.
Because he's the tightest character in the show.
Because he's the tightest character in the whole show.
His character, fucking design and everything.
Everything.
His whole shit.
Yeah. But if Tokoyami's not your favorite character in Class A, then what are you doing? No,
it's Kirishima if it's not Tokoyami.
And then it's Kirishima. But then I would want Koda's quirk.
Yeah.
In real life, I would want Koda's quirk.
Well, and if this turns out, which it's not really, but if this turns out kind of more of a hunter situation where, I have all these other base Nen abilities to use, and my Hatsu is going to be used for reconnaissance and other things of that nature, that's great, because I'm way more versatile and multifaceted, and I have physical abilities and other shit to hold me down. So
the punitive force in Hunter couldn't even move before they took out the satellite Tonbo. Yeah. So it's like Nove made a point. He's like, all right, look, they're looking at us constantly to see if we use a Hatsu. So use physical attacks until we take out, I can't remember the
Flutter.
Flutter, yeah.
Flutter.
Yeah, Flutter, yeah, that's right. Anyway, moving back to Hero here. Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki all going to intern with Endeavor. It's about time to talk about that. That is cool as fuck. And it's interesting. Yeah. It's interesting because there's a couple different possibilities here. So there's a couple different possible routes for contention in the internship. One in the form of competition, obviously, between the three of them getting a little too out of hand, but also another in the form of either Bakugo or Deku potentially outshining Todoroki in front of Endeavor, who's trying to become a better father, and in person, but seeing the others do better than Todoroki right in his face might reverse some of that, if not all of that, character development that we've been seeing from him lately.
Yeah, that's a good point for sure.
So that could be a really cool, dynamic, in regard to this internship in the future of it. So that's what I thought of.
Really, either way they want to do it, because he could turn it into that, or he could also make it be a juxtaposition with that, where he reinforces his, that he's trying to be a better father, and even though they're doing better than him, he doesn't scold him for that, where Todoroki would figure that he would.
Yeah,
So
that could also be the way.
It's a win. So either way he takes it.
Yeah, a lot of different possibilities there.
I don't give a fuck anything that Hirokoshi wants to write. Todoroki will smoke the fuck out of Bakugo or fucking Deku, and I don't give a fuck. Right now, until Deku gets 5 other quirks when he gets real broken.
Yeah. On paper, Todoroki has it, but I mean, his personality plays a factor.
Yeah,
because we've talked about it before.
He's breaking through a lot of that. So far.
But I mean, at the same time, it's look at Bakugo as a person. Like we said on this channel before, Bakugo's the type.
Due to a fireman,
I know, but Bakugo is the type of motherfucker where give him any quirk and he's just as tight as he is right now.
Being a fireman doesn't make him resistant to explosions.
That's true too.
He's still gonna get his ass blown fuck back.
But if you just cover yourself in fire, is that fire? Especially when he now is learning flash fire, but explosive impact, he can use ice to not I won't say brace the fall or anything, but you can slide on it and use your trajectory to your advantage after getting blown away and stuff like that.
But I think that they made a point to compare
but then he's gonna get his ass flung way the fuck up in the air. He don't got that impact absorption. In regard to what Kiko was saying about using the ice to cushion your fall and turning it into a slide and then perfectly. I think Kohei made a point to compare the two ice users that we've seen so far in that guy or girl. I don't remember which one.
It is a girl. Yeah.
It is a girl
with the hood that has the ice powers from the Liberation Front. Mm-hmm. How she had way better ice control than Todoroki has. She's all ice, so she's got the control to shape it into any way that she wants. But Todoroki was talking about how he doesn't have control like that, and he kind of just shoots it out the way he wants, but can't sculpt it. It's not as malleable.
Well, and I think a big difference too is that he generates it from his body, whereas she's taking it from the atmosphere. And
so she's Iceman for real.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it sounded like to me. Is like she's actually so she can just take water. There was water around and use it to make more ice.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that. Yes. Yeah, and Bakugo has to have some kind of heat resistance using explosions that close to his skin.
Well, I'm saying even Todoroki has some kind of heat resistance. Obviously, he has a ton of heat resistance.
Yeah,
I mean, especially since he's doing like flash fire, whatever the fuck we're calling it, where he's trying to do, Endeavor's ability. So
that's when it goes blue, right? We have to assume that flash fire is a blue flame, right?
I don't know. I really don't know. I thought it would. I took it as red, but I took it like hot, like a poker, like glowing fucking red. Kind of shit. That's with the fight against Tetsu.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
No, but I think it's pretty even between the three of them.
Yeah. Well, sure. I think so too. Like as far as like for story's sake, yeah. But like
on paper, Todoroki
got Todoroki to activate and still almost beat his ass with one arm. So it's like,
yeah, that's right.
He's not working him that bad.
Yeah. I mean, if we're gonna say that all for one, you just get to punch away everybody's ability with shockwave force, then this hard to fuck with that,
Yeah, that's pretty much done deal. 200 chapters.
Well, and Bakugo can do the same thing with the fucking massive ass explosions, The
Rhino Howitzer.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. So, but I mean, hey, that's what we had to talk about with this chapter because there wasn't much. But actually, no, one more thing I did want to talk about this chapter, which is going into the internship thing where, Todoroki has extended that invitation to him. It didn't say that they took it, right? Like I don't think that
they did confirm, no.
Yeah, because, you see Bakugo having the flashback about Best Jeanist where Best Jeanist is like, what's your hero name and explaining how important your hero name, like, what do you want people to feel when they hear this? And they're like, he's like, no, basically your fucking name sucked. And when you come back next time to my internship, tell me your real hero name. And gave him basically an assignment that is very important. You could tell that it's important to Bakugo or he wouldn't have a flashback about it.
Exactly.
Thinking about it. And he does actually like respect Best Jeanist and has like, I guess I won't call it a score to settle, but has has to fulfill
something to him.
Yeah, has to fulfill, that to him, which that's I think going to be a huge, factor later, especially when Thread Clone jumps out and he's not.
That's
good. I'm glad you brought up. I'm glad you brought up
hero name.
I'm glad you brought up the hero name and the Best Jeanist flashback.
What did you say, Eagle?
I was just saying I've been on the edge of my seat for that. A while. Bakugo's hero's name, especially just with the comedy it was turned into. But I really wanted to know what his hero name was because that was like, season 1 of the anime almost near the end where they're coming up with their hero names and it's just literally kind of thrown to the wayside. Never mentioned again that Bakugo never settled on a hero name. So I really would like to
said you don't get to pick a hero name. You're a fucking idiot. So
and I like how
better think about this for a whole year.
Right.
I like how Bakugo is low key one of the most, in regards to character development, one of the most character development heavy characters under the radar. Because we're seeing Endeavor with blatant in your face character development. We're obviously seeing Deku as the main character develop a lot. But in these little moments that we're getting here, obviously externally Bakugo's still on some fuck everybody type shit, get out my way, I'll kill you. But beneath the surface, he's growing a lot. And
he's just
really cool to see.
Kind of starting to, because he was introduced as kind of a Meliodas type figure at the beginning of the story where he was already a monster. Deku was he was everything Deku was striving for, but that wasn't All Might,
Yeah.
He's this dude's so cold, he's got a nasty ass quirk, he never needs help, he's light,
Yeah.
But
he's being humbled by.
But now he's being humbled by
the
everybody
strengths of everyone else. Yeah. And the strengths of everyone else around him. Because he was pretty much all talent and he was just 100% prodigious talent, when it started. But
from
a school where he was the one, he was that dude. He was Bakugo. He was the prodigy, right? And now it's all prodigies at UA. So he's, fuck, where am I really at?
Playing feels a little bit more even now.
He's Iverson. He comes to school we're talking about practice. Not a game. Not a game. Not a game. This is practice. This wasn't a real fight. Y'all want me to talk about this school shit? Fuck that. I'm not showing up. No,
that's good. And before we move on, shout out to Eddie Chan. Protect at all costs. You already know what it is. It's Eddie season.
Yeah. Hey, she's our
she's
favorite
gonna
little
be
horned
out
girl.
number one hero level with that Buster Sword, G. She's gonna be busting motherfuckers. With that Buster Sword.
That Buster Sword was so cool to see.
Hell yeah, that Buster Sword was tight. Tokoyami
That was
brought
hilarious.
That shit.
Yeah.
They got it for the random. I assume that like Sero just gave them all a random piece of tape, and they all just, got a random gift.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Harry ended up with the Buster Sword, and then Sero was also like when he saw the Buster Sword, and then he saw
that was the dude with the tail.
Tail Jiro.
That was Jiro. Yeah.
Jiro. Yeah. He's like, oh
Yeah.
No, another funny ass fucking part is that Kaminari got a basketball. It's rubber with the electricity. Are y'all fucking with me right here? Why y'all giving me rubber? That's pretty good.
Deku seemed pretty hyped about the sliced mochi. I think didn't we get dialogue where he actually says he loves sliced mochi a lot? I feel like with the slice of life shit we get, that's very likely.
I agree. Yeah, that's good that you brought that up, because just with the two panels of him and Ochako getting an All Might thing, it's clear that those two gave each other gifts. That got each other. They got gifts from each other because she knew that about him.
Yeah.
So that's cute.
That does make a lot of sense.
That's cute.
Very, very cute. But with that being said, I think we can move on, and that covers it for the actual chapters this week. But in lieu of coverage of a One Piece chapter, we were kind of just gonna go into a little bit of a deep dive, kind of what we think based on the current story information and direction, what is going to happen, where it might go, who kind of might do what, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So Noxie, I know you got some words for this, because you always got some words for One Piece. So why don't you go ahead and get us into it?
Me myself, I got a couple things that I want to see in the future. I mean, just based on what we know already about a couple different things. So one thing I definitely want to see, but at the end of this arc, is Wado Ichimonji becoming a Black Blade. I think that would be really cool to see that happen. I mean, because we know it's going to, but I think that would be really cool to get that this arc. Also, there's that obvious family link, even though it's not confirmed, there's that obvious family link between Ryuma, Ushimaru, Shimotsuki, and Zoro.
And at least Zoro's village, the Shimotsuki village.
Or at least the village. I'm pretty sure. So
Koshiro probably at minimum, but there's no way. I mean, just with the picture of what Ryuma looked like in Monsters, there's just no way. That's Zoro. Zoro with the ponytail.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have the same like hairline, and they have the same like facial shape. You know what I mean? But what's a really cool, thing that I was thinking about is that, like, okay, so Ryuma, if this is like a family tree kind of situation, they are all related. It would be really cool because Ryuma is Itoryu, and we know that Ushimaru was Nitoryu, and then Zoro is obviously Santoryu.
Well, they were talking about
Odin's Nitoryu.
Yeah, Odin was Nitoryu.
Didn't they say
Daitoryu?
Yeah.
Because they're long swords, yeah.
Right, but weren't they talking about how Ushimaru had two swords too? When the Kitsune Onimaru, when we got his flashback when Kawamatsu was talking about Ushimaru, he was a two sword.
How the fox was always by his side.
Look at his silhouette. He's got two swords on his hip in the silhouette.
Let's go look. Well, I'm pretty sure the two swords is usually the katana and the wakizashi, but also I'm just saying. I know it's not confirmed, but it would be a cool. Yeah, that would really be.
Yeah, because like if they are all related, and Ryuma is the one sword style, Ushimaru is the two sword style, and then Zoro is the three sword style, then that could, be a significant plot point moving forward.
Could.
Yeah, that would be.
Looking back at that chapter here, I'm trying to find just to see the silhouette, because I'm super interested now, because the silhouette is very Zoro-ish. We talked about it in the past episode where even like the front two kind of hairs that are Zoro has that stick up are the same.
A little spiked up.
In the silhouette. So I mean, it's hard to not think they're related at this point.
Yeah, and another really cool thing that we could get is that if Zoro really is confirmed to be related to Ryuma and Ushimaru, if the Kitsune Onimaru ended up becoming like Zoro's like companion and like accompanying him throughout the rest of the series, since you know the arc, you know, his character arc's pretty much over at the end of Wano. It's like I did my job, you know, liberation, yada yada. What's next for Onimaru? Oh, I'm gonna roll with this motherfucker that's related to my old dude. You know what I'm saying?
Bloodline.
Yeah, and you know, and obviously he, you know, Onimaru has, you know, you know, disguise magic. So like, what else can it do? You know what I mean? Like if that's another fighter, or, you know, maybe not a fighter, but like a support type, you know, with whatever kind of magical abilities that it has, that could be a really cool dynamic.
You know, it'd be hilarious if he got a higher bounty than Chopper. He was also listed as pet.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Onimaru.
Kiko, what do you want to see moving forward?
Oh, man. I mean, man, what do I want to see? I want to be alive when the story finishes. That's first. I want to still be living. That's my first goal here. So, you know, I'm trying to eat better and stuff, because we've heard 5 years. I just don't believe it, right? Like 5 years. That's what Oda said he wanted, is to finish this in 5 years. But that's what he said in 1997. So, like, I mean, you know, we got, who knows? I think we still got 7 to 8 years to go.
I would agree with that.
But yeah, I mean, we've talked about theories at length and like what makes sense, and there's so many things, so many ways to go, and just the way that Oda, you know, tells his story, you know, just the most tactfully way ever, where you just there's this information that dangles out in front of you that is there, and you definitely could use it to make, you know, good inferences, but for some reason we always fall short of what actually happens, even though like we're a lot of the time on the right path when we're talking about our theories and whatnot, because there's just so much, you know, foreshadowing and whatnot. So I did want to take this time to just bring up that the theory of going around again, and I don't know if I want to see it, but the theory that, you know, the old world has mirrored the new world, you know, obviously not exactly, but very close, almost starting at like Arlong Park. It mirrored, you know, Fishman Island and kind of so forth from that, where I don't remember, like Logtown was supposed to mirror Punk Hazard some way, but then Alabasta mirrors Dressrosa in the way of, you know, Kingdom taken over, or, you know, kind of thing in a desert, and just whatever. Like I can kind of skip through that.
There are a lot of parallels that you could draw between a lot of arcs, and I really liked that conversation back in our group chat when we were having those, because like I still can't remember all of the parallels that you listed, but a lot of them were really like, bruh. Yeah,
I had a better list, and I've seen other people, like, you know, compile more info on that. So it was good to take a look at that. But the thing that made sense to me is that I just didn't feel that Luffy and Zoro were strong, or just the crew in general, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, were strong enough to 1v1 any of the Yonko and win. And that would lead well to, so this arc can turn into a giant war with other factions that we don't, because we already got Big Mom and Kaido have joined factions. We didn't know that 2 weeks ago, but you know, we obviously have the alliance, the Kozuki alliance here, getting geared up to fight this. But we need more information about the Reverie to know, like, the world government's not going to just idly stand by when there's arguably 3 of the 5 strongest powers about to fight each other in the world that aren't the government. So I don't know. I just think that if that all happens and there is some kind of multi-factional war here, because I mean, does it feel like the Kozuki Alliance could beat Big Mom and Kaido? To me, like, I don't feel like it. I mean, if it happens, it'll be great, and I know it'll work perfectly. But if not, you know, the thing that I seen, that I would almost like it if Shanks died, and to mirror Ace's death. And
I think feeling like we can beat the enemy is what a lot of people were complaining about first, and I think something that was missing from Wano, because our side honestly felt really stacked until this last chapter.
Yeah.
And Kaido's seemed like, okay, all you got is a bunch of bitch-ass Smile and the Flying Six and your commanders, and what the fuck else, really?
Well,
That
I mean,
seemed
I
like
kind of
enough
went.
to me.
Yeah,
'Cause,
that's what I was
do they-
saying. It
What do
kinda
they
went
have
back
on
and
their
forth.
side? They got a bunch of fodder with swords in hand.
Well, and when it comes
Who
down
are
to
supposed to be as strong as like 100 men each.
yeah,
That is what they said.
but I mean, how
It
how many
kinda
of those
been linked up to
men-
where Wano fodder is different.
But
Yeah,
how many
well,
of those men are Kaido as strong as? Kaido's strong as 20 billion of those fucking
Yeah,
Sam, like that, because that's the thing. Like look at Law's crew, for example. Law doesn't have anybody tight other than himself. He's got John Bart and he's got Beppo. But what the fuck is John Bart and Beppo, right? And that's what I think a lot of crews really consist of as a captain who's really fucking strong and really powerful, and a lot of other weaker characters. Now that's not the case for I mean, there's definitely a significant difference between King and Kaido. There definitely is. But
I was just gonna say it's that same dichotomy.
yeah, but you can say that, but I mean, maybe it's just on such a lesser level. But I would say the difference between Beppo and Law is far bigger than King and Kaido, and Katakuri and Big Mom, and whatever, Shiryu and Blackbeard, or whoever you're trying to say the number two on. It's got to be Shiryu at this point, but whatever.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Yeah,
I've always thought it's Burgess. He's a sleeper pick.
but Burgess got worked so easily by
Yeah.
Sabo, like nothing.
And so would Shiryu.
would he?
Not anymore. Not after invisibility fruit, maybe.
I personally don't think that Shiryu, even before invisibility, would have gotten
No.
like Burgess did against Sabo.
I definitely do. Sabo's out here for the last 10 so years getting trained by the revolutionary commander.
Yeah,
Well,
that's true.
and-
I would love if Burgess was the sleeper pick and he was actually like the second strongest next to Blackbeard. I would love that, but I just can't see it right now.
No, and Shiryu was locked up in level 6, and
Yeah.
because he is he was the prison. What did they call? Like, it wasn't like the executioner, but I don't know. He ran.
It was
like
a
the
title.
He was the
Yeah.
vice warden.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, that's
so
right. That's right.
before Hanyu, right? Okay, that makes sense. And I don't know. I just kind of remember dialogue that made it sound like the difference between Shiryu and Magellan wasn't like astronomical or even that big, and that Shiryu could definitely damage Magellan, but you
Yeah, but
died
like,
if you fight Magellan.
where are we putting Magellan though?
I put Magellan higher than most, but that's I don't know. I think that, I mean, what is Venom Demon, right? Like,
Yeah, I feel like that's an awakening. A lot of people do.
but even still, like, as far as what does that ability mean, where you are the most corrosive substance there is? Like, how do you do anything against that, even with hockey? Like,
Yeah,
because you hit it and it splatters, and same with how like Luffy was getting hit with splatter, and it doesn't really count because he didn't have hockey then, but even still, like, he's, I'm gonna give both my arms when he just like double, or does a bazooka to Magellan, but he still is getting it on his face and he's getting it on him, and stuff like that. So it's like, I don't know, unless you full Virgo and then jump into some kind of bath that will fully, I mean, I don't know, like how that's
well, remember when we were
strong
talking
ability.
about that? Remember when we were talking about that in the group chat about how armament hockey doesn't just like dispel any
it doesn't
double fruit
dispel.
ability on contact?
Yeah, it
So, and
doesn't
how like
dispel,
Virgo couldn't like, or a Pika in a full body clad armament couldn't just walk through a Kainu lava or just tank an Enel bolt. You know what I mean? Like it's more of a way to disconnect temporarily at the point of contact the devil fruit user from whatever it is that makes them not there. It temporarily reverts them back to their normal state. We've never seen it just completely
negate.
Negate a devil fruit ability on contact. And I'm glad that we had that conversation, because up until then I was really just convinced that devil fruits just didn't matter anymore because of hockey. Unless you were using hockey with your devil fruit, and that can't be the case. Like Oda wouldn't know his series that that degree.
And another huge point to that is that, what does that make Blackbeard? Like, why did you try so hard to get the Yomi Yomi no Mi when you could have just learned hockey instead?
Because the Yomi Yomi no Mi
because Yomi Yomi no Mi
does negate.
Does
exactly
negate
right.
Like literally when he grabbed Luffy,
Yeah.
he's a regular human at that point. He's no longer rubber. That's why Luffy was like, "Oh shit, what the fuck is this feeling?" And then when he got hit, he's like, "Ah!"
Yeah.
He's like,
But that happened. That happened when Garp stole off him too, though.
but
because-
that's
hockey.
it's like
Yeah.
it was different when Luffy got hit by Blackbeard because he was like, it was the first time in 10 years that he had experienced real pain. How much the rubber negates impact from blows and shit.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
so
they
then the
all make a
rubber is-
comment.
So the rubber is negating impact to just a lesser degree when it's coming in contact with hockey.
No. I would think that
Any
wherever
other
hockey,
time.
yeah, no, I
Why
think
does it-
wherever
Why does
So
it hurt him?
why does hockey hurt him?
Yeah. If it's,
Well, because when we saw it, he didn't have hockey to block Garp's punch either, and Garp, just punches him in the head, and he gets a fat ass knot or whatever, and he just calls it his fist of love. But
yeah.
it's,
But I feel like it's still the same effect as when Blackbeard hits him. There's
I would
no
say
rubber.
that it's just on the contact point, it's negated. So where he's getting punched
Yeah.
right at that point
Yeah.
is where it's no longer acting as rubber, and you're taking like a hit to the flesh at that point, unless you use hockey to, counteract it. But whereas when
Blackbeard turns your
touches
whole body
you,
normal.
everything,
Yeah.
and there's no like options, and because we know,
But he's still getting hit at one point with real force as a real human body. So I feel like it's
Yeah.
still the same thing as getting punched with hockey.
yeah, it's subtly different. Whereas
Yeah.
so when Luffy is grabbed, Blackbeard's big as fuck and just grabs his whole body with one hand and
Yeah.
smashes him into the ground. So he smashes him like head first, and
Yeah.
his head takes all that damage.
Yeah.
But he's grabbed right in the stomach area.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
you're
so yeah, I mean, and it's more to it, and that's just like the effect on that type of paramecia. Since there's so many other types, like just think about like your Mr. 3, I don't know, for lack of better, you get grabbed, you're not going to be able to generate any candle wax at all. It's more so than your body's not just turning. You can't even use the ability at all. Whereas like with Kairoseki, and if you're in the water, you can still use your ability. You're just weakened. Like when Luffy's underwater in Arlong and they pull his head and stretch his head out of the water,
Yeah.
or when he's in the bubble fighting fucking Hody Jones and he could do the fucking whatever the culverin was when it's not in Gear 4, snake arm something or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was actually going into the ocean, and you could see him wince or whatever.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean it's definitely a difference of full negation versus
But, like,
like
Spot
Blackbeard,
negation.
when he grabs you, is like actually making you a non-devil fruit user.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
Like, and he grabs Ace too right in the shoulder, and Ace is surprised, and he's like,
He knows
he's
right away,
surprised.
like, yo,
Yeah, you canceled my shit, and this isn't hockey, because even if you grab my arm with hockey, I should still be able to disperse.
Elsewhere.
You could punch me and hit me with force in a fire, just hit the fire and hurt it.
Yeah.
But if you grabbed me, I should still be able to just disperse or whatever, and
in response,
use your power. That's the way I would take it. So
yeah.
but I mean, we kind of got off because I wanted to go back to this, where mirroring this, where Shanks would die, would be. I just think we need more big deaths. The other people who could die in place of Shanks would be Garp or Sabo. If any one of those three die, those would be huge. Garp, Sabo, or Shanks, and I think we need one of those, and that's what makes me like the going around the again, because they're going to kind of, the crew is going to mirror Roger's crew in many, many, many ways, a lot of ways, as many ways as any other crew would. And Roger didn't find Rafto on his first time through. He had to go through a second time, and
wow.
I don't know. I like the theory. I don't know if I want it.
That's really the bottom line.
If Shanks is gonna die, then he's got to fight at full power first.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Which
is that going to be against?
Blackbeard, and I don't know. Like that's just what makes some sense, is that because if Shanks is on some kind of decent terms with the world government since he walked in there and talked to him, and you think that conversation is probably about what's transpiring right now, and what Shanks is like, here is the outcome of what's going to happen. Like, I know more than you guys on this or whatever, and you should really listen to my suggestion on what the fuck's going to happen when Luffy and Kaido fight, Big Mom. Maybe he's predicted all of this, or a lot of it where he gets the government involved, he gets involved, you know, Marco and like I just think like a lot of other factions are going to get involved in this, because just seeing Luffy, I would love it. That'd be the number one thing I want to see more than anything, is just Luffy figure out a way to 1v1 Kaido, hard body him and win. But it's hard to see that that's going to happen right now. And I
agree.
As it should be.
Yeah, as it should be. But yeah, I think that I don't know. It just kind of makes a lot of sense. We need another time skip to bridge the gap here.
I would love that. I would love that personally. I'm 100% on board for that.
You know, and Luffy is 19, you know, Zoro's 21, Sanji's 21, you know, they're still really fucking young, you know, like, and it'd be cool, you know, if they I don't know, I just don't see how they can get to Raftel at the same age they're right now. Like this whole story, this fucking 30-year long story only took place over 2 years. Like I just feel like there needs to be some more time, you know, going through.
I agree.
That was mine. That's mine, but I'm done with that because that was a long one.
Oh no, that's good. I like that.
But it's the only thing that really kind of makes the most sense to me, even though I don't really want it to happen. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. I like the idea, and but I'll always want Luffy to just hard body win and steal on you to death, and that's it. You know, just I mean, just Jet Gatling to how he beat Lucci is just like, you know, like it was just so. I don't think I've ever, you know, felt that way on any other of his fights thus far. I mean,
that was big.
And maybe it's just the difference of the time where it's like I watched the anime up to N.A. Slavi and didn't know anything about it at that time, and I saw the anime and I didn't start reading the manga till, you know, whatever, Thriller Bark or Shavandi. So maybe that's another thing, is that we know, you know, like you read Katakuri versus, and I mean Toei Animation was better 15 years ago, 10 years ago, but like
that was still a really good fight though.
Katakuri, on YouTube, you know, not actually on the anime. Same with like the Cracker fight. Like the Cracker fight is long as fuck. You got to go watch it on YouTube, and it's still like fucking an hour and a half long or more. You're like, how many episodes was this?
This was 2 chapters.
This was literally 20 episodes to finish this fight. Like, man, if somebody ain't calling a spirit bomb in this next episode, I don't know. What are we waiting for? You know,
Eagle, what do you want to see happen?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I want to see. I mean, I know I've always felt Marco will show up. I never got the vibe that he wouldn't. I know he said he wasn't going to, but I've always just had that feeling like you got to come. Marco has to come. Thematically, it would fit. Luffy has to tell him Ace's final words.
Yeah.
And like, you know, especially with this recent development, like we need as many motherfuckers as we can get, because we got 2 Yonko crews to go up against now. But I'm not of the side that claims that like a Yonko needs to fall this arc. Like if we go 3 Yonko arcs without beating one, like that's just, in my opinion, like stagnating the story for no reason. Because while it does need to make sense, it is like a very common theme in Shonen, where you're overcoming these obstacles, and that's really at the end of the day what these characters have been set up to be, is obstacles that Luffy needs to overcome.
Yeah.
And that is what I was saying with the Roger shit too, is like, yeah, Roger had that long ass journey, but Roger wasn't Luffy. You know, he wasn't the chosen one at the promised time, at the promised era, with all the fucking turning of the tides in the world, with fucking, you got Alabasta, where the royal family's starting to get up, you know, ask questions in the fucking higher ups of this shit, and more of the world I feel like is in turmoil. It's really just the prophesied time. That's why Roger, I mean, if Roger was Luffy, he would only need to go around once. But
I like that.
It's
I like
just,
that a lot.
That's like, I'm not mad at it. When a Yonko falls, I'm not mad at it, because that's, at the end of the day, they're here to be beaten. So
that's a really good point.
I just really want Kaido to fall this arc, and also Big Mom, I don't know what Oda's going to do with him, because I also feel like if she's in the fucking story for 3 arcs straight, it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? Like, this bitch needs to get out of the story. And everybody's like, oh, well, she needs to come to Elbaf, da-da-da-da. The Giants hate her. She doesn't need to come to Elbaf. She doesn't.
They don't want her back.
It's like, they don't want her big ass back. So it's like,
She
it's like,
ate people there.
Yeah, like legit. Like that one giant went back and told her, like, this bitch is a cannibal, G. We don't want her back.
And she'll sing a song while she eats you and act like it's the funnest time ever.
I think something I wouldn't mind seeing is like, I've heard, like Luffy kind of teams up with some people to go against Kaido, and a kid goes after Big Mom. And I think if that's what Oda wants to do, where two Yonko are going to fall, to keep that juxtaposition between Kid and Luffy, where like they are, like if he wants to keep Kid on the same level portrayal wise as Luffy, he's going to have to play as big or bigger of a part in this Yonko takedown shit,
Yeah,
he ain't doing that. Like, there's no reason for him to fight Big Mom,
But
like, they don't have any beef. Like, fucking,
well, he never had any beef with any of them. He was just trying to fuck them all up.
Well, but now he does have beef with Queen in particular, and it would make sense if Killer and fucking Kid fought Queen. Well, okay, let me tell you why. Queen is the one who's imprisoned Kid the whole time, and he's the one that broke Killer and then gave him he has a bad smile.
Orochi fed him the leftover smiles. That's what he does.
I think that is what it said.
Queen is the it was torturing him in prison, right? Like, I'm pretty sure Queen is the one that is a sadistic, and he enjoys. Oh no, that's King. Isn't King the one?
Well, that's what they were saying when they were talking shit to each other at first. But I really think, as far as we saw, the prison is lax as fuck, and they just have you running blocks back and forth all day.
There's no way. I mean, people would get out. Like,
that
lax.
You bringing up Killer just made me think of something else that I feel like I want to see. So they kind of like made, this might be like a little like Oda seed being sown, but Chopper talking about how easy it was to cure the mummification bullet.
Chopper and Law are definitely doing the like gene manipulation shit they did. Like, they literally did the same thing on Punk Hazard with the kids, where they had that molecular like level of addiction to their disease, and Law was able to kind of like separate that on an atomic level, where he was able to fuck with their genes, put them back together, and now that addictive, that strain of fucking the drug or whatever, he took out.
Yeah, I would love to see Chopper and Law
like that and find it.
I would love
I think they'll do the same thing with the Smile people.
Yeah, dude, that would be so cool to see. I hadn't even thought about that until right now. But yeah, they totally did do that on Punk Hazard. That would be so cool.
Yeah, I mean, they can't just. I mean, Killer's not going to walk around laughing like an idiot for the rest of the story, and he's not just. They're not just gone. Like they just can't leave it like this. Like, Kid's definitely going to come back in a pivotal moment. Killer is going to get fixed at some point, I would think. I would think that the first time we see Kid and Killer will be fixed, but we won't know how at that time. And you'll get a flashback to show whatever Law fixed him or something, whatever. I don't know. Law, Chopper.
I kind of am starting to gravitate towards back to like my original setup of like fights, because I always thought it might be like team ups across the board. So it would be like Luffy, Law, Kid against Kaido, and then like Zoro and Killer 2v1 King.
Ooh.
Sanji and fucking Beppo maybe, or like John Bard.
Sanji and Beppo would be cool, because Beppo kicks you too.
Queen,
Yeah.
So it's like I just really don't know what the hell's gonna happen now, especially with the introduction of Big Mom's forces into this.
I know, dude.
Like it. If she calls Whole Cake Island like Katakuri pull up, like what is we going to do?
Where is Big Mom's people right now? Because you would think that if they've been separated for this long, that they would be wreaking havoc throughout this entire island trying to find their boss.
Yeah.
Peril Sparrow and
Waterfall.
Peril Sparrow and Smoothie are trying to fucking. Hey, I run this shit now. I'm the oldest, and he's like, I'm stronger than you, so fuck you. Like they had that, kind of dialogue at one point. So, but that was funny that they're.
Peril Sparrow stronger than Smoothie?
No, Smoothie's saying that to Peril Sparrow, because Peril Sparrow says, I run this shit now because I'm Big Mom's first son. I'm the oldest. But Smoothie's like, nah, fuck that. It goes
I'm
by
way stronger
rank.
than you, bitch.
Yeah, it goes by rank, not fucking age. That's why me, fucking Cracker, and Katakuri. Katakuri's clearer than the new captain, if that were, but she's alive. But it was just a good conversation that they had.
Also, Hannibal made a comment about how Big Mom's road poneglyph is like totally wide open at the crib right now.
Well, they don't.
Katakuri's there.
Yeah.
Katakuri's there, but don't you think?
Or no, Snack's with them. I think I saw Snack.
But don't you think Blackbeard? Don't you think Blackbeard would kind of be like Katakuri can't fight all of us?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And he might be going to Whole Cake right now.
He might be going to Whole Cake, but he could just as well be headed to Wano because.
I feel like he'd move to Whole Cake first. He's more of like an underhanded, like, while you looking over here, I'm gonna do some shit over here type cat.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
He doesn't seem like he would want to. I mean, like Marineford's a little bit different because he wanted that Gura, but like I feel like he would be like, I'm gonna bounce over here.
And if Blackbeard kills Katakuri, Luffy respected Katakuri, and it would still, just give another little, a little notch on the I need to fuck Blackbeard's belt, fuck him
Big
up.
Mom about to die. Katakuri taking over the crew and joining the Straw Hat Grand Fleet.
Okay.
Could happen.
That's what I've wanted to see ever since I saw, the end of the fight where they kind of acknowledged each other. I'm like, yo, Katakuri taking over the crew, joining the fleet. Let's go.
Oh, that's another thing. That fleet's showing up to this.
You think though?
Yeah, I feel like the military is coming, and so is that fleet.
This is like the big event.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
I think that was more so like kind of said to be like end war, and it's also like hasn't been that long since Dressrosa, so I don't know how you justify them getting like a whole lot stronger. But from what we saw in the numbers, Rosa, like, are they really doing much here?
It's the numbers.
Well,
King Punch is doing damage.
King Punch is wrecking shit, but
to a lot of people.
Man, King Punch, that y'all can't wait till the tie-in episode.
He needs to
wait
be
till you see my
boxing on the boat on the way over because shit is gonna pop off right when we get it. Like, I don't want to see no shit on the battlefield where you're like,
oh no, he's pulling up with King Punch.
Shadow box on the boat on the way up.
Yeah.
Have a couple on deck. Like, that'd be something tight to see if he could maybe like stock up his King Punches and like them in succession, but that'll probably never happen.
He's pulling up with King Punch ready.
But Big Mom got that Elbaf spear, G.
I mean, none of the fleet can really there's not anybody in the fleet who could fight like a Jack or Queen or King, No. I mean, even Bartolomeo would just
I was about to say Bartolomeo is going to be the tightest one.
Man, what if Bartolomeo's power could be so broken? What if he just puts you in a glass box and fucking constricts that bitch into smashes you into
perfect cube.
I think we might have perfect cube. Him do something like that at one point.
Put himself in a cube where Hakuba couldn't get in, so like I don't know. I think Bartolomeo
there was
could
some
be
point
tight
where like I don't know if he actually, because One Piece isn't savage like that. I don't know if he really compressed their ass, but I think there was an instance where he was kind of constricting somebody in.
Oh, I think that was Derringer, maybe.
Derringer, goof ass. Forgot all about him,
bro. I mean, how do you have
Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy looking ass, bro?
bro, he's got short shorts on that are like scaly and high heels,
kicking like a motherfucker
on.
Yeah, stilettos.
Fishman.
I man, that's a character where you're like, man. Oda,
what's going on here? He on his Barnacle Boy.
Oda does some shit with these characters, and a lot of characters got really tight designs, and then other ones I'm like, all right, well, you dug into your Django bag for this one. I remember Django.
Yeah, but do you remember them? That's the point. That's the point.
1, 2, Django.
But I think
throw the chakrams. That's like one of the starting of where you're like. All right, I know we're getting some weird ass characters in this.
You could say what you want to be, like, and I was just talking about this in a group chat on Twitter. Like, you could say what you want about One Piece character designs, but you remember those motherfuckers.
Yeah. This might be a parallel arc where we see something along the lines of the Davy back fight, though, where Zoro and Sanji actually have a moment where they flex their like flawless teamwork when they actually want to fucking work together.
Yeah, and I would love to
see that.
No Toryu again.
I would like to see that, man.
I would love to see the no sword style again and all that. I want to see Ashura, man. God, I want to see Ashura again so bad.
I'm neither here nor there about Ashura. I've never honestly never known if we'd see it again. But
we did we got two abilities. I mean, I figure if it's an Ogi, we should see it again. But I mean, like Ichibugen versus Kaku. Like when we got that, I was like, that needs to be his ult forever. And then we got like one more. I think we got like Makusen against like Kuma on Shabandi, and then that was like it. And I was like, And I feel like because of the gap in time between the last time we saw that, because Oda made a really big deal about that ability and how like the demonic aura inside of him, like, you know, tethered to Sandai Katetsu, you know, was like such a big deal. I feel like he's been sitting on that for a while, and he's like, when you see this Ashura shit again, fam, yeah, like I feel like that might be something that would be really cool to see.
So, being that Ashura is before the time skip, like you'd have to see some kind of beefed up version of Ashura. And what do? You know, more heads and more arms and stuff. So, like, I don't think you go there.
Ichi Gorilla, Knee Gorilla, Ashura.
San Gorilla, Young Gorilla, go down all the arms.
Whoa,
that would be ridiculous.
Q Gorilla, or no, it would be.
Q is 9, I'm pretty sure.
No,
yeah, but he's not going to go gorilla in his head.
Well, no, and it's 9 sword style. It's not 9 arm style.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
The mouth swords.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So it would be 6. It would be 6 arms. It would be Roku gorilla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it'd be something. Or
that would be so hard.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope to see, you know, new techniques like kind of across the board. But the thing,
we're getting those.
Yeah, for sure. And talking about, you know, the thing that made sense to start out with is, you know, Luffy fights Kaido, Zoro fights King, Sanji fights Queen, you know, and then I'd say
hierarchy.
Yeah, I'd say Jinbei fights Jack, but if we
Fishman to Fishman. Ooh.
Yeah, that's a McFish sandwich over at
2 for $1.
2 for $1. You don't want 2 fish sandwiches for $1.
No, you do not. Run away from 2 fish sandwiches for $1. That's the most suspect shit I ever heard in my fucking life.
Knowing that was too long, about to get up in Jack's ass.
yeah, I know. The Neko Mamashi and Itarashi.
Yeah, I like that. I like that better, Eagle.
Yeah,
they about to plunge Buddy's cheeks out.
But it made sense too for me, you know. And I talked about it before. Sanji fighting, you know, Queen, because Queen's gonna be the biggest, being the Brachiosaurus, and like, you know, like Sanji fought Wadatsumi and kicked the shit out of his giant ass, and
straight up.
And and it's like that's what he does. Oh man, if we see a Diablo Jumbo anti-mana kick course, I can't.
That's
wait.
gonna be hard. That's gonna be hard.
I don't know.
How long are we running on time here?
I think we are running a little bit long.
So we should probably
Okay.
It's it's been a while, and we kind of, you know, shit can get
One Piece can just go forever, dog.
Man, it
5 more hours if we let it
go.
Yeah,
that's all we gotta say. So yeah, we're running a little bit long on time, so we'll just go ahead and wrap it up here. I think, you know, we got a little bit of good speculation in from all of us on what we kind of want to go down based on the current goings on.
Yeah.
And with that being said, it's been a fantastic week in Jump yet again. I mean, a little bit moving more into transitional stuff now. Like we said, it's gonna, you know, where eventually we're gonna hit a low where everything's not slapping so hard. But for now, as far as transitional shit goes, it's just like Hachimaru and Hero. So, and everything else is still kind of popping off.
Yeah,
so.
I feel like we got maybe like 2 more chapters of conflict at max in Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah. And then it's going to settle down and we'll get some info dump type shit.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's been a great week. Any final thoughts before we go into the spiel out?
I think I'm good, man.
All right. Well, with that being said, thank you all so much for watching yet again. If you did, like the video, if you liked the video, comment down below. Of course, we'd like to discuss things with you. Subscribe, hit that noti bell. We'll chirp you whenever we release the tangential tie-ins on Fridays, you know, whatnot. Knocks it in the schedule. But yes, like I said, thank you for your viewership. Like I said at the beginning, thank you for the constructive criticism and feedback on everything as well. Discord link in the box down below, as I said as well. That'll be in the link tree. So follow that. You can also find Twitters and stuff like that, social media platforms that we all have on there in the link tree. And as Noxie said at the beginning at the show, and I forgot to, we are also on Anchor, Spotify, soon to be iTunes, other platforms for podcasts and stuff like that. What was the other one? Stitcher.
We got Stitcher. You got like Podbean, I think, is another one. Anchor does the most. It just pumps your audio out to like all of the different platforms. So you'll see us everywhere pretty soon here.
Perfect. Yeah. So you working boys got nothing to complain about now. You can Spotify link while you're fucking at work and
go ahead. Throw that on.
So yeah, join the Discord, join the community, like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. And with that being said, this is going to be another fantabulous episode of the Project Manga podcast. Wrapping up, I'm your host, Eagle.
I'm Kiko, and to my crew with a suit right here.
I'm Noxie.
Sarabada.